Plan on flying? It's time to upgrade to a real ID. Because in order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID, or you'll need another acceptable form of identification. So don't wait. Find out how to get your real ID at tsa.gov/realid. That's tsa.gov/realid, or visit your local DMV. And then you'll be cleared for takeoff.
Alcatraz opened in 1934. I arrived in 1935. And I'm still here. I'm Charlie the Bagman Baglin. And I'm dead. Tune in every fortnight to hear about some of the nastiest inmates the Rock has had. Learn about Alcatraz, about me, and the fun I have with ghost hunters. I'm behind you, Baggins. Episode 1 is about Al Capone, the banjo-playing, tax-dodging numpty. Join me, Charlie, on the 6th of October on Infernal Souls and Eternal Arseholes. Available on Acast, Spotify, and most other podcast players.
Hello and welcome to Reverie True Crime. I'm your host, Paige. When I think of my grandmothers and great-grandmothers, I associate them with kindness, wisdom, and love. I think of their incredible cooking and delicious desserts, their warm hugs, how they would do anything for their family and friends, and how they loved to sit on the telephone all day telling their girlfriends the latest gossip. They could be strict sometimes, but it was always out of love. Usually when I think of grandmothers in general, or little old ladies who only have animals and not children, which is definitely going to be me, I don't think of them as dangerous, brutal, harmful, or a threat. However, an elder Russian lady, Tamara Samsonova, is the epitome of those words and much, much more. Let's get started. Tamara was born on February 5th, 1947, in Yuzhur, which is now part of the Krasnoyarsk Krai. Tamara graduated high school and then went to Moscow State Linguistic University, where she graduated. After graduating from college, she packed her things, moved to St. Petersburg, and fell in love. She and Alexei Samsonova got married, and in 1971, the lovebirds moved into a house that had just been built on Dimitrov Street. At the Belmond Grand Hotel Europe in St. Petersburg, Tamara worked for a travel agency called Intourist for 16 years and retired afterwards. In the year 2000, Alexei Samsonova vanished. Tamara reported him missing to the police, but their search efforts for Alexei were unsuccessful. They had been married about 30 years, and she told the police that he may have left her for another woman. By the summer of 2001, Tamara was able to rent out a room in her apartment to a younger man named Vladimir. The two had a falling out after a few months, and he supposedly left. In 2003, 44-year-old Sergei Potanin from Norilsk rented a room of the apartment from the seemingly kind Russian elderly woman who was living off of her retirement and needed help making ends meet. Neighbors of Tamara's said that she was easily annoyed, was not easy to live with, very strict, and would even swear at them in the apartment hallways, banging on the radiators. After a few months, Sergei took off. Nobody knew where he could possibly be, and his family didn't live in St. Petersburg. Through the years, Tamara would continue to host people on and off again. Usually, all of her roommates were men who were younger than her. The comings and goings of these men would go on for decades, but where they'd ran off to, no one was quite sure. Tamara met a 79-year-old woman, Valentina Nikolaevna Ulanova, in March of 2015. Valentina lived on Dimitrov Street too. A mutual friend had asked Valentina to take in Tamara since her apartment was supposedly being renovated. Valentina happily gave Tamara shelter for months. Tamara would help out Valentina by doing the housework. Eventually, Tamara got extremely comfortable and did not want to leave. She actually told Valentina that, in fact, she was not going to move out. Things got tense between the two women, and the relationship they had built over all those months came crumbling down. Valentina asked Tamara to pack her belongings and leave, but she wouldn't budge. Tamara was determined that she was not going anywhere. The two ladies got into an argument about who was going to do the dishes later that evening, and Tamara had enough. She was livid. She went to Pushkin, a town in the Pushkinsky district of the federal city of St. Petersburg, to a pharmacy. She somehow convinced a pharmacist there to sell her a prescription medication called phenazepam, which is an extremely strong sedative for schizophrenics. On Tamara's way back to the apartment, she stopped and purchased a very popular Russian salad, and it was Valentina's favorite, an Olivier salad. Tamara crushed up the phenazepam pills into the salad and served the deadly dish to Valentina on the evening of July 23rd, 2015. A little later that night, Valentina was passed out on the kitchen floor. At this point, things began to get gruesome. Tamara grabbed 2 knives and a hacksaw. Taking the hacksaw first, she severed Valentina's head, sawed her body in half, and dismembered the rest of her body. Using the knives, Tamara cut Valentina's body parts into smaller pieces. Security footage would later be revealed of Tamara making several trips outside with black trash bags and a cooking pot. What was actually in the cooking pot would be revealed soon to investigators in Tamara's own words. On July 26th, someone was walking their dog, and a strong scent caught the pooch's attention. In a wooded park beside a pond on Dimitrov Street, there was a shower curtain which held disfigured body parts. The next day, the identity of the disfigured person was discovered by police, who went not too far away to the apartment to question its residents. The neighbors had not seen Valentina for a few days, and the police went to her apartment, knocking on the door. Tamara politely opened the door and greeted the policeman into the bloody apartment, which she did not even try to clean at all. There was blood spatter all in the bathroom, and the shower curtain had been ripped into pieces. Calmly, Tamara told the police she got angry and confessed to what she did. She was immediately arrested. She admitted, quote, "I came home and put the whole pack of phenazepam, 50 pills, into her salad. I woke up at 2 a.m. and she was lying on the floor, so I started cutting her into pieces." End quote. On July 29th, 2015, 68-year-old Tamara was taken to the Frunze District Court of St. Petersburg. Between that time and November of 2015, she was going through forensic psychiatric testing, and on November 26th, the results of her examination had been completed. Tamara Samsonova was found to be a danger to herself and others. She would eventually be taken to a specialized institution until the investigation was over. In December of 2015, Tamara was taken to a hospital to receive compulsory psychiatric treatment. As the investigation continued, a diary that kept a lot of her deadly secrets was discovered. She wrote her diary in Russian, German, and a little English. Bits and pieces have also been translated to English, with one entry stating, quote, "I killed my tenant Valadia, cut him into pieces in the bathroom with a knife, and put the pieces of his body in plastic bags and threw them away in different parts of Franzinski district." It was also revealed that Tamara had been obsessed with Soviet murderer Andrei Chikatilo, who was known as the Red Ripper and executed in 1994. He was a madman in the Soviet Union, a so-called bloodthirsty vampire who had killed, raped, and cannibalized 52 young women over a span of 12 years. Andre would cut out the victims' tongues and would take out their eyes because he believed otherwise they would keep the memory of what he looked like. Marina Krivenko, who was Tamara's friend since the year 2000, said that she was very interested in maniac Chikatilo, that she gathered information about him and how he committed his murders. Marina stated, quote, "I came to live here with my husband. I used to go to Tamara's flat. She looked a lot better 15 years ago, and her flat too was a lot more attractive than now. She looked after her appearance and had this weird habit of sitting topless with her back to the window, making sure that her silhouette was seen by the neighbors." Marina admitted that her husband even found Tamara's bare body attractive. Also, Tamara borrowed a hacksaw from Marina and her husband, but she never returned it. They never imagined what she was actually using it for. The trial of Tamara Samsonova was so unbelievable, the word spread of the Granny Ripper like wildfire. It was found that she did have a history of mental illnesses. This was easy to see outwardly at times, as she would blow kisses to the judge and the reporters while smiling and giggling. CNN reported Tamara saying, quote, "I'm haunted by a maniac upstairs who forced me to kill. I have nowhere else to live. I am a very old person, and I put the whole matter to rest deliberately. I have thought 77 times about it, and then decided that I must be in prison. I will die there, and the state will probably bury me." End quote. During the trial, she stated that she had in fact been waiting for over a decade on the police to come knocking on her door and take her in. She told journalists, quote, "I knew you would come. It's such a disgrace for me. All the city will know." Later, she began to blow kisses to everyone surrounding her who were from the media. When the judge asked her to address the court, she said, quote, "It's stuffy in here. Can I go out? I was getting ready to this court action for dozens of years. It was all done deliberately. There is no way to live. With this last murder, I closed the chapter." The judge said, quote, "I am asked to arrest you. What do you think?" She replied, "You decide, Your Honor. After all, I am guilty. and I deserve a punishment." When the judge declared that she would be held in custody, she smiled and clapped her hands. There are still a few puzzling aspects about this case and shocking details. Her husband, Alexei, who seemingly disappeared, was never written about in her diary of devilish deeds. She has never spoken of him, and he's never been found. It's not proven that he was in fact one of her victims, but a lot of people would say it is safe to assume he likely was. Alexei has been declared deceased. Tamara continued to tell investigators more information about the night she murdered Valentina, saying, quote, "It was hard for me to carry her to the bathroom. She was fat and heavy. I did everything at that kitchen where she was lying." End quote. Despite her confession and all of the evidence in the apartment, for some reason, they made Tamara carry out a reenactment of what she did using a mannequin. She demonstrated how she cut up Valentina's body, starting with severing her head. After she removed Valentina's head, she showed the investigators how she put it in a large saucepan, boiling Valentina's head on the stove. While she may have eaten some of it, the major reason she did this was to make the identity of Valentina impossible to figure out. In video testimony, Tamara said that she was able to carry Valentina's hips and legs only as far as the closest backyard. She talked about boiling not only the head, but Valentina's arms as well. So far, it's still unknown where Valentina's head is located, along with her inner organs and hands. Tamara was extremely sloppy that night and made no effort to clean up anything. Making around 7 trips in and out of the apartment, she slid the garbage bags on the floor, leaving a trail of blood behind. In her diary, she wrote about the vicious crimes she committed, and certain murders, she wrote, were a part of dark magic rituals. There were also pages torn out of the diary, some of which were found with one victim's dismembered body parts. Her talk of dark magic in her diary would be the start of the media giving her the moniker Baba Yaga. In Slavic folklore, it's a powerful and sometimes very dark character. She even kept her dear diary next to books about dark magic and astrology. There's also the disturbing fact that police suspect she may have even eaten a few of the victims. There are rumors that she may have taken out the eyes and lungs of some of the victims to eat. The police have not counted out the possibility that a lot of Tamara's claims about eating parts of the victims could be true. Sources on the inside of Russia's investigative committee have said that the internal organs, including the lungs, had been removed from the bodies they had found. Unsolved murders from around the area are linked back to evidence found in the apartment Tamara was living in. For example, 12 years prior to her arrest, there was a man's torso discovered on the same street, and evidence, like the man's business card, were found in her apartment and connects her to his death. On some days, there were entries in her diary that were everyday occurrences, like, "I didn't sleep well, I drank coffee, I took medications, I did not eat." There were also lyrics from songs and other mundane writings. The investigation is still ongoing, with Tamara Samsonova being linked to 21 murders. Police will not be releasing Tamara's full diary until the investigation is over. She is currently being held in a mental facility. And that is the story of Tamara Samsonova, the Granny Ripper. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay safe and take care.